So this is something of a new venture for me, doing some work on a classic car. Played with plenty of race cars, and I played with cars like this back in the day when I was a youngster, but this one caught my eye as something that could be an interesting one to have in the garage, do some work on and treat as a bit of an investment. It's an MG, yes and no. It's an MG Midget is the basic car, but this is known as a Midget Arkley SS. Arkley being the name of the company who make the fiberglass front and rear bodywork, so all the Midget bodywork is cut away and then this fiberglass bodywork's put on, and the SS standing for the wide wheels and tyres that it has on. It weighs less than the original car, so it's probably only weighing something like 700 and odd kilos, so it's a very light car compared to cars these days. Originally with a 1098 engine, now with an upgraded unit. So pretty looking little car. John Britton, the guy who designed them, worked originally for Lotus and then for Morgan, and you can actually see as you wander around the car that the lines picked up on it look very much like a Lotus at the front and a Morgan at the rear, so no surprises there. It's been in the ownership of someone for something like 17 years. He's obviously done a lot of work on it, painted it, etc. Looks quite pretty. Probably like a lot of these cars, though, when you start to look at it closely you realise there's a lot of other minor stuff that needs to be done. So in general, two-seater car, quite smart inside compared to an awful lot of old cars that you see around. Seat belts are dreadful, but generally a smart car that I think with a little bit of work can be made into a very solid investment. It's under the bonnet that things aren't quite as happy, because underneath there, yes, it's been done up to a degree, but doesn't look terribly pretty. So as you'll see, the engine bay is all a bit mucky, black paint and look very good, wires look horrible, clips all need changing. It just needs a complete upgrade underneath the bonnet. So the engine in this is the 1275 unit, upgraded to that like was in the Mini Cooper S and so on. Nice quick powerful engine. I think this needs some slightly richer needles, but we can sort that. The engine is basically sound to drive, clutch seems fine. It's also had an alternator fitted, which is much needed. Gearbox is from a Ford Series 9 5-speed, which so many cars use these days, and seems to be a good gearbox. Rear axle's actually from a Toyota Celica, no idea why, but it seems to work well enough. So engine needs to come out to sort out some oil leaks. They were inevitable on the crankshaft seals on these engines, and the other thing that really needs doing badly is the front suspension. It pulls quite sharply to the right under braking. I don't think it's a brake fault because they work well. I think it's actually the suspension that is just flopping about. So I'm favouring a complete upgrade of the front suspension with some new units in it which are giving some negative camber and also fitting some modern upright dampers which do a much more effective job. I think that should connect it with the road a lot stronger, probably a stronger anti-roll bar as well. So a lot of work to be done under the bonnet and at the front end. Actually the rest of it doesn't really need too much doing to it. It's a lot of fine tuning. Obviously I've got different hoods and a hard top and so forth for it, a little bit of tidying up everywhere. But generally speaking, it's quite pretty externally. I think the exhaust needs a bit of tidying up as well. So I think plenty of work under the bonnet area, and then see what comes next in terms of sorting the car out. But looks like it could be an interesting investment.